everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Welcome back to the show. This is episode 178 of the Welcome to Asgard podcast. Hope everyone's weekend has been going swimmingly, and thank you all for joining me this evening. We have a lot of things to talk about because obviously today was the kickoff event, or kind of the main day for DC fandom, or it's the only day for DC fandom. I really haven't been following all that much because I'm not really a super fan of any of these major franchises. I just usually find out, okay, this movie's coming out at this time, this show's coming out at this time, here's a trailer, etc. That's normally how I follow it. So these all-day events, whether it's DC, Marvel, or really anything else, is really usually not my jam. But a lot of things have indeed been announced. We have an official trailer for the Snyder Cut. We've also found out that it is going to be 4 hours. And they're going to break it up into episodes. So 4 one-hour episodes, which means essentially a 4-hour movie, which is just absolutely insane. But obviously, I know a lot of people that are fans of Zack Snyder who've been wanting and have been clamoring for the Snyder Cut are going to be very happy with that. You want to make sure, I can understand it, you want to get your money's worth. You want to get all the time that he could possibly need to tell the story right. And so I can see why anyone that's a fan of it and has been waiting for this for a very long time would be excited by that bit of news. For me, I think it's just a little bit too much. I think that's a little too long, because obviously if it's a movie, it's a 4-hour movie, and that's way too long. But then as a miniseries, 4 episodes also, again, really there seems to be something that might be missing there. That being said, though, we have seen something similar be done with something like The Hateful Eight, where that one got a Netflix treatment where they broke it down into the longer version. They broke it down into episodes, and it actually worked out pretty well. So hopefully that is able to work with this one. And I just really want a movie that is good. I want it to have a good story. I want it to make sense. I want the CGI to not look like total crap that's going to, age poorly after several years, which is something that has been very consistent with Zack Snyder movies, and also, of course, with DC films in general. Not to say that Marvel's completely out of the picture there either. Again, there's a lot of people, when they hear me say anything critical of DC, that, oh, Marvel did this, and it's like, yeah, I'm not saying that Marvel hasn't done it, but don't just think, oh yeah, everything in DC is fantastic, it is amazing, and oh, they can do no wrong, because trust me, they've done a lot of things wrong, and something tells me that it won't be the last time either, especially based on what we've heard from Patty Jenkins about the upcoming Wonder Woman film, about how the lead villain in there is inspired by the President of the United States. And again, the director going on record saying that, and I think the lead actor too at one point made a reference to it. That's not very good. We have a trailer also for Wonder Woman 84 that came out today as well, the updated trailer for it, and we got our first look at Cheetah. And dear Lord, Cheetah looks terrible. I was already critical of Kristen Wiig being chosen for the casting because I don't think she's going to do it very well. People have been saying, oh, based on the trailer, she surprised me and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And yeah, you could say, oh yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. But then when you get to the CGI of Cheetah, no. That CGI is some of the worst CGI I've seen in a very, very long time. And the excuse that it's so tired, and everyone uses it every single time for any major film that uses CGI. Oh, well, it's just a trailer. They're going to finish it. They need to finish the effects. Trust me, if you're doing a trailer and you're releasing it, you're trying to get people hyped up for your movie, you're going to make sure that those effects look the very best that they can. It's not going to take a lot of money to get in a 2-minute clip any of the CG that you use to look as good as it possibly can be. Will things change? Absolutely, right? Things obviously can change over time. But to say the argument of, oh, it'll look better after this extended period of time, I've heard it so many times, and 99% of the time, nothing changes, or at least it doesn't change enough to make the CGI any better. So, that CG looked terrible. Obviously, and now I'm worried for Wonder Woman 1984 because of the politics that's being thrust into it, the modern day politics that's being thrust into it, which, again, I'm just so tired of that happening. I'm so tired of that being thrust into the modern era of films. People say, well, other films have been political in time. Yeah, but never this much on the nose saying, hey, by the way, the current president, how there's an election this year? Yeah, we're going to make a character based on that person, not trying to influence anyone's decision, not trying to attack anyone before the election. Sure. So, anyway, yeah, as you can see, I have a lot of things to talk about, and I have a lot of thoughts, and I know that not everyone's going to agree with me, and hey, that's fine, as long as we can be respectful of each other, and also admit that obviously we have opinions, but then there's also facts that really just cannot be ignored. And as long as we can understand that sense of objectivity, we should be okay. But anyway, we got everyone watching over on DLive. Got 5 people over there. And of course, I've got my peeps over on YouTube. Hopefully everyone is doing swimmingly. We have 43 people watching on YouTube. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. Let's go ahead and say hello to everybody over there. So at 621, Orange Chat Reviews said, "Hey, crickets, too early." Crap. Yep, a little bit too early. Mike Jackson was in the chat. Eric K, who's a member. Orange Chat is also a member. Eric K says, "Odin, please be careful with the new Justice League trailer, as and a few others had the stream terminated." Yes, because they showed the trailer before it was officially on the channel, is from what I understand. I remember when Az's went down, and when I looked into it, it seemed that the trailer had not yet been made public. So that makes sense to me. That makes sense that you would, that the streams would be taken down because it's not yet public, right? If the stream is public and they take something down, that's a little bit too much, right? That, I think, is kind of, self-defeating, because the whole point of a trailer is to market the movie and get people hyped up for it. If someone's going to do commentary on it and is going to do a reaction to it, that's protected under fair use, right? If the trailer, of course, is released. If it's something that has not yet been officially released yet, and someone's showing it, then I can understand why you would have some action, or maybe at least more of an argument, to say the very least. But anyway, Eric K, don't worry, I'm not showing that. I don't really show videos of anything on my channel just because I don't even want to take the risk of something like that happening. But anyway, Joseph Nash is in the chat. What's going on, man? I told you I'd be streaming tonight. Andrew Hoyle is a member, says, "Hail all again." Yes, Andrew Hoyle, your comment from way earlier, way earlier, did not stay, but I did see it. So thank you very much for joining. Tina B is in the chat. Tina B has her power back, has her internet working. I know that there's going to be maybe some issues with the stream on your end tonight, so I will keep that in mind. So thank you very much, Tina B, for being here, though. 13th Warrior, Golden Ration, hello to all of you. Hope you're doing very well. And as Tina B has pointed out very early on, if you have a comment or question tonight, you can either super chat, you can donate via Streamlabs, which is the preferred way, because it's just much better for the creators involved. And also, of course, you can just tag me, Odin Question, all one word, Odin Question, and then I will be able to answer it, because it'll highlight orange on my screen. If you tag my channel name, nothing's going to pop up for me. So I know that's the way that other people do it. This is a way for me, though, to let people have a way where if they don't have the ability to donate anything, or if they don't want to donate anything, hey, I get it. I understand it, right? Especially during the times that we're in. Money is tight. I get it. So I still want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to, say it is whatever they want to say, or if they do have questions, to ask whatever it is they want to ask, and not feel like they have to give money in order for that to happen. So that's why I do it that way. The only exception to that rule, of course, is if you're a member on the channel. If you're a member, as long as you're not tagging anybody else, the comments is assumed to be highlighted because it's green and it's easier for me to see. So anyway, Hamlet's Tragedy 89 is in the chat. How is it going, Hamlet's Tragedy? Hope you're doing well. Yes, indeed, Tina, the Empress of the Universe, indeed. And of course, Stephanie B is in the chat. What's going on, Stephanie B? The general of my Valks, of my mods. Golden Ration, hello. Let's see here. Cobra Viper 999 says, "Good evening, everybody. How is it going? How's it going?" JRoar123 is in the chat. Stream Elements is in the chat. Still need to find out if that is actually a bot, or if that's just some random person. I still don't quite know. I don't quite remember setting that up, but hey, it could have happened. Aiden Vickery, who is a member on the channel, says, "Hail Odin from Sunday morning in the UK." Well, Aiden Vickery, hope everything is going well on your beautiful Sunday morning over there. It's still Saturday evening over here. But thank you very much for being up very late, or very early, depending on how it is, of course, you view things. Bruce, who's a member on the channel, says, "Hello, everyone. How is it going, Bruce?" Hopefully you're doing okay. Keck44 is in the chat. How's it going? Balin, the Hobbit. How is it going? Balin, the Hobbit. Hope you're doing well. Lord Toth is a member on the channel. Says, "Hail everyone. Hail to you, Lord Toth." Thank you again for being a member on the channel. I appreciate it. And yes, I saw a comment saying, "Yeah, Odin's usually on time." I am. I don't ever really pull a Gary. I never really pull a Gary. You always know when I'm going live. If I'm ever going to be late, I always tell my Valks at the very least, and then they're able to say, "Hey, Odin's running late, and he'll be on at 7:30, or he'll be on at this time, that time." And so I always let y'all know. And of course, there's the random occasions where I might have to cancel a stream, but I also try and put that up on social media and let my Valks know. That way, there's a way for everyone to find out what's going on. So definitely, yeah, don't pull the Garys here on the Odin's Movie Blog channel. Orange Chat Reviews says, "Hail Odin." Thank you very much. So now it's right at 7 p.m., so I'm already 10 minutes behind, but hey, that's okay. That's kind of how it normally goes. That's kind of how we do things here on the Odin's Movie Blog channel. But since I'm caught up with everybody over there at 7 p.m., let me go ahead and jump over to my D-Laugh fam. Mr. Peabody was here first. How's it going, Mr. Peabody? Phone Nemo was in the chat as well. Adam, Frank, and Declan. What's going on, good sir? Adam then tagged me and says, just make the movie right in the first place so we don't have to wait then to watch 4 hours. Adam, thank you very much. Yes. And obviously the number one response that you're going to find to that, like the number one thing you're going to see people say is, well, the studio got involved and obviously he had to step down from the project, and so it was mostly Joss Whedon's movie. And hey, based on everything that we know and the information we have, that all seems to be accurate. That being said, though, you look at that and you say, okay, well then how can you explain then? How can you make excuses for the issues that are in Man of Steel, more so in BVS? And even then they say, well, the studio got involved with BVS, and any issues that may have happened in Man of Steel, well then obviously it was a studio. It's like, maybe it could be the fact the studio did get involved with BVS more so than Man of Steel, but couldn't it also be at the same time true? Both things can be true, that maybe Zack Snyder is also a part of the problem? Because I'm sorry, but BVS's extra 30 minutes that gets added on to the Ultimate Edition does not fix some of the big problems with the movie. Yeah, things might make more sense, but just because something makes more sense does not necessarily mean that it's good. So, just going to throw that out there. Because, yeah, it's, I agree with you, though. Make it right in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong. If it's a movie, like, for example, like Lord of the Rings, where there's a lot of footage and there's a lot of story that could be told, obviously, I do understand that there's that there's director's cuts and extended editions that can be very long and still also be very rewarding as well. I would say the problem is that the theatrical cuts of Lord of the Rings were all good on their own and were made better by the extended cuts, versus what we're talking about here, where the movies were not good on their own. And so there's a question mark about whether or not it will be better with more. Right? I think that's a fair thing to say. I think it's fair, at the very least. Adam then says, but Reagan was our president in 1984, a former actor. Boom, yeah, that is true. Alexander says he remembers now. Yeah, it's the same as it always is. Saturday and Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Always the same. Peabody tagged me and said, well, we know if you are ever late, it's not because of a bad hair day. I see what you did there, Peabody. Making fun of my dome. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Alexander Tammy says, what do you think the limits of what you're allowed to show in a movie should be? Do you mean just like from YouTube's perspective? I think that anything that has been released by the studio for view by the public should be allowed to be used by anyone. I think that if you're on YouTube especially, if we're just talking about YouTubers, yeah, if a trailer's been released on their site, it's now public. The whole point of a trailer is to promote the movie. So if someone's going to show the trailer and do a reaction to it on their channel, that to me, I think, is totally protected. I think anything that has ever been officially released by any production company or studio, all of that's fair game. And that's kind of the point, because normally when you look into things like press credentials, or a press kit is what it's normally called, where you have like official images and official video that's meant specifically for press to use and to cover, the whole point of that is for it to be used, right? And so as long as you're making commentary over it and you're using that stuff, to me, that's protected under fair use. Now, when it comes to things like spoilers, that I could understand why a studio would probably have at the very least, somewhat more of a say or somewhat more of a point to be able to argue, hey, you shouldn't be able to use this content and to demonetize a video overall. I don't think, though, even in those cases, that you should be able to take down entire channels or even take down entire videos either, right? I think that to me is when it becomes more of a slippery slope, when it becomes more of this, it depends on what it is, it depends on how close the release is, it depends on where the information is being found. Like, to me, if you're the person leaking the information and you're the first person that's mentioning it, to me, I think there is more responsibility that you have versus, let's say there's something that's being talked about everywhere. It has not been contained, but they're only going after people that are doing it and covering it on YouTube. Then I would have a problem with that, because then it's being inconsistent. You can't just choose who you go after when a bunch of different people are going to be doing and covering the same thing, right? I think that is just not good. James, though, just donated via Streamlabs. Thank you very much for donating. I appreciate that. He says, watch The Phantom Menace today, and while I don't think it's an awful movie, I do think it's an okay movie. Your thoughts? I would argue that it's not a great film. And the reason why is because I think the writing is very, very poor, specifically the dialogue. And I think most people will argue, if you're going to be honest, right, if people are going to be honest with themselves, the dialogue in the prequels is not very good. It's just not. The acting too, right? There's a lot of problems with the acting in, all the prequels, right? And that really comes down to George Lucas not being that great of a director as far as, getting the best performances out of his actors. Yeah, he might have good performances because he's got good, talented actors that don't need guidance. But when you especially look at the younger performers in there and the choices that they make and the lines that they have to say, you can tell that he just doesn't really know how to get the best thing, or what his vision of the best thing is not very good either. So either way, there's a problem there, and there's an issue there. But I would say I'm one of those persons where I think the prequels are a lot better, are a lot more coherent, like big world building wise, much more coherent than the sequel trilogy. No question about it. But I would say that the dialogue in the sequel trilogy, dialogue only, is better put together than that in the prequels. But the story, overarching story, I mean, it's night and day. Prequels, far better than anything that's come out from the sequel trilogy. But again, that's just looking at it from a dialogue perspective, and that's being very, very nitpicky. Literally Dan, thank you for subscribing to the channel. I very much appreciate that. All right, let me catch up with the rest of my DLAF fam. Adam tagged and said, just postpone the movie would be my answer. Yeah, obviously that's something that you would think would be the best bet. But when it comes to the decision that was made back when the original Justice League was coming out, they had already poured in hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into that project. You look back to BVS. That film, though it made a lot of money on paper, like close to $800+ million, the amount of money it made in actual net gain profit was much lower than what they were expecting. When you think about Batman and Superman together in a movie fighting each other, that should be a billion-dollar movie. But it didn't make that much. It did not get to the billion-dollar point. The first billion-dollar DC film was Aquaman. And even that movie has a lot of issues. Of course, I don't want to tick off my Valkyries too much because they are in love with that film, because obviously Jason Momoa is shirtless and it's great for many people. So I'm not going to go too much into that. But with all that being said, I think the reason why they put that film out so quickly is because they thought, oh, it's the Justice League. It's going to be a guaranteed hit. It doesn't matter if it's coherent. It doesn't matter if there's two different visions. It doesn't matter if we're getting involved in the project. It's going to do well. And it didn't. And it ended up losing money, right? It ended up losing, tens of millions of dollars. And I think that it was a big mistake. Now, I think they'll make some of that up. They already have made that up with other movies you can look to. But if we're looking at it just from this movie specifically, I could definitely see them making up, as far as this movie is concerned, money back from the Snyder Cut alone, because they're going to do a release on 4K, on Blu-ray at some point. They're going to get those subscriptions coming in for, the HBO Max service. So I think that's what you're going to end up see happen. Phone Emo tagged over there and says, I still want to know why Ezra Miller isn't canceled for checking that lady. Yeah, seriously, I was talking about that in a chat earlier, and it's interesting because some DC fans are just, they don't care. It's just like, no, you know what? It doesn't matter because of X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, no, it should matter. Like, I'm sorry, but if that dude was a Republican, he would have been out like that. If that dude was even just a straight white male, boom, he would have been out like that. But because he's a part of the alphabet community and because he has the right politics and he says the right thing in interviews, they're more willing to protect him. Now, does that guarantee that you're not going to be touched? No, right? I mean, obviously, there's cases, there are scenarios where people that have all the right thoughts have been affected, right? Have lost their jobs or have been impacted. But just look at it, see what they're willing to put up with, right? Look at Roman Polanski. That dude, right? That dude was inappropriate with a girl, with a child, and that dude is still getting praised by the Hollywood elites. Do you think that would still be the case if that dude was a Trump supporter? Again, there is no answer to that because the answer is very clear, right? So there's a clear bias in Hollywood, and yeah, the reason why Ezra Miller is not canceled is because he has the right politics. It's probably the same reason why you haven't heard anything about Amber Heard's role being taken care of either, even though the evidence coming out seems to show that she was just as crappy, if not crappier, than Johnny Depp. So that whole situation, right, just to say a quick word on it, to me, they're both crappy people. So there's some people that are like defending Johnny Depp, but it's like, no. They're both crappy people, right? That dude was under the influence of a lot of stuff and probably did some crappy things. She, I think, did worse things because I think that honestly she was not under the influence of anything and still doing crappy things and lying, of course. But yeah, notice how she hasn't been canceled either. I wonder why. Again, I put the same caveat. If she was a Trump supporter, nope, she would have been gone like that. And that's ridiculous. You should, if you're going to have a standard, have it be the same for everybody. Simple as that. Adam Tagda says, do you turtle wax your head like TMNT? No, I do not. Though I imagine it probably would be, effective. Alexander says, I think combined universes on the magnitude of Justice League or Avengers are poison. I don't. I think that they can be good, right? Because I looked to the first Avengers film, and the first Avengers film was great. The films leading up to it were great too. There's ways that you can do it where you can make good movies, right? You can make good movies that are in a overarching universe and it can work. But there's also ways you can do it wrong. And I think that the DC universe is a clear example of how to do things wrong, right? To do Justice League before you set up any of your other characters, that was a big problem. And again, they were trying to be different, right? They were trying to be different than, it was interesting because they were trying to be different than Marvel while at the same time trying to be, they were trying to be the same and trying to be different than Marvel at the same time. And it just, when you're trying to, again, all that messaging going back and forth, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. All right, so I'm caught up with the D-Laugh fan. Let me jump back over to YouTube where it's 7 p.m. So boom, right on the dot, 20 minutes behind. Tina B says, woo, my power is back. I haven't killed my neighbors yet, and it's Whiskey Sour Day. Ooh, well, I'm glad that you haven't hurt anyone yet, Tina. Please don't. Please don't. James Dossier, I think it's how you pronounce the last name, or if not, Doshier. Thank you very much for being here, man. People's Front of Canada, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. Lord Toth, you disgust me with your pineapple pizza and wine. Emojis, how dare you. Andrew Hoyle, howdy. Howdy, howdy, how. Gmonkey76 is in the chat. What's going on? Mike Jackson tagged me and says, Fan Dome, Chrome Dome, love the bald pun. Hilarious, Mike. Hilarious. Damn you. I can see that, though. Yeah, I can see that. Fandome, Chrome Dome. Slicer Neon's tagged. What's going on, Slicer? Hail Asgard. I was going to be productive today, but then I found out Thundercats got added to Hulu. Someone's day has been someone's day has been filled with it. Orange Review says, "Oh, don't be a sourpuss." Oh, no, I'm not. I'm just keeping it real. Just keeping it real like I always do. Tina B says, Gone with the Wind is over 4 hours, but that's Gone with the Wind. All hail Gone with the Wind forever. Exactly. And also, too, a couple things, right? It was a film that came out in a different era. People that went to theaters were an older audience. They were able to sit down for that length of period, having the intermission, and they were fine. Trying to do that today with modern audiences, that film would not have made money. Right, if that film came out today, even if it was as great as it is, right, one, it would have been canceled probably, right, because of the characterizations and everything. But then also, I don't think it would have made money because it would have been too long. So you have less show times, and just general audiences, right, the normie audiences are not going to be wanting to sit in a theater for 4 hours. So that would have been a problem, right? So that's why it's different time, different era. But then, as you said, there's also a completely different movie there, right? Gone with the Wind is a classic movie, a fantastic movie. I don't think any of us would ever say that anything that's come out of Marvel or DC is even close to being at the same level of Gone with the Wind, right? I think that most of us could at least be that honest. Magda Zarum is in the chat. How is it going? Hope you're doing well. Lord Toth Tagman says, Cheetah looks awful. Man, yes, she looks terrible. Jacob Volk, what's going on? And then he says Cheetah looked great. No, not at all. If we're talking about the CGI Cheetah we saw at the very end, no. That, again, objectively, it was not good. All right, that type of image may have passed, maybe like 10 years ago. But in this era that we live in now, where CGI can look so damn good that it almost looks lifelike, no. That was bad CGI. Come on. Be honest, dude. Come on. 13th Warrior tagged me at 704 and says, why so hard on the CGI guy all the time? Dude, that's kind of always been my thing, right? So if you haven't been around for a while, maybe it does, you haven't been used to it, man. But dude, that's something I'm always a critic of. And the reason why is because I've seen CGI done well, and I've seen it been done terrible. And usually it's done terribly, right? Great example, I would say, of something that was done well, Jurassic Park. Because even though the effects, you could argue, are dated because obviously they were limited with what they could do at the time, if you see that movie on the big screen, though, it still works. Like, it still works with the time frame that the movie was made in, and you don't feel like it's bad. It doesn't feel outdated. Compare that to, and I know that no one likes it when I mention this, especially my Valks, but compare that to something like 300. Despite what you think about the movie, right? Let's get the opinions out of it for a second. If you're going to tell me that the CGI in that film still holds up today, even based on the standard that was established at that time, I'm sorry, but it doesn't. Because if you look at that movie today, you say, ooh, man, that doesn't look as good as I thought it did when it first came out. Because when it first came out, you were like, man, this is awesome, this is badass, all the muscles and everything. But over time, though, it just doesn't really age as well. And so, yeah, I'm just always, that's kind of my thing. It's kind of my shtick. 13th Warrior, thank you very much for the $5 donation via Streamlabs. Thank you so much, man. Says, have some extra pepperoni. I wish. I had some schnitzel tonight. I had some schnitzel. It was delicious. Waiting for an Andrade. What's going on, Laura Tadden says, I have no plans to see Wonder Woman 84 without sailing the high seas after hearing the Orange Man bad rumors. Yeah, again, we heard it from the director. We heard it from the cast. I totally understand that because I don't want to see that in a movie, right? That movie is supposed to come out, in October? Why would I want to see a movie where they base an entire character or at least heavily influence a character heavily influenced by the president during an election year especially? Again, we could argue saying, oh, the film was originally supposed to come out over the summer. Yeah, but it's still the year of the election, and so I'm not okay with that. I think that's ridiculous. Tina B, thank you for letting them know how to contact me. Rhaegar Targaryen tagged me and says, Maxwell Lord in Wonder Woman 84 is Trump. I called it back when we first got the reveal. As soon as I knew who the villain was, I knew where this was going. Yeah, I know a lot of people, Rhaegar, kind of suspected based on imagery and what they had heard. But I also think, too, that you look now at the performance and you look at the voice and everything, and you compare that to what he would have looked like in the 80s, and it just seems that much more connected. And, again, not a good thing. Lord Toth says, the tubes. What's going on? Renegade Spider 2999 tagged me and says, hello there. Hello there. How's it going? Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member of the channel, says, I was interested in Wonder Woman 84, but now don't even want to watch the trailer. I'll be skipping it. Yeah, man. I don't blame you, right? Finding that stuff out. For some people, that's enough, right? For some people, it's, hey, you know what? I personally just don't want to see it because I don't, even if the rest of the film is good, that's going to be enough to distract me, right? So I respect that. At the same time, if you still want to see the movie, okay. I'm not going to tear you down for wanting to see it, but I will be critical of it. Again, I will still be looking at it through as an objective lens as I possibly can. And if you look at the film right now, based on the trailer, objectively speaking, there's some CGI issues. And I think Cheetah is a clear example of that. Doesn't matter how much they do after to, to quote unquote fix it. Lord Toth, the 705 said, "As got banged too." He's a member on the channel. Interesting indeed. All right. Dragon Bricks, what's going on? Wayne's in the chat. Kara Tharp is in the chat as well. Chris P is here. Trying to make sure I shout out any name that's new to either the channel or just to this stream. Slice of Neons tagged me and says, Oi, in a year of insanity this week aimed for the top spots. Only good news as I added derecho in my vocabulary. Hashtag cancel 2020. Ah, yes. Derecho. Chris P tagged and says, Hey, Loden, I got my ticket for an early showing of Tenet on the 31st. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, Chris P, thanks for bringing that up because guys, I got 2 movie tickets. I have 2. So this week, on Thursday, I'm going to see New Mutants because I have to see if it's real. It's not because I really want to see it. It's because I have to make sure that it actually exists. So I have an IMAX ticket to go see New Mutants on Thursday. So it'll be Thursday around 6 Eastern or so. So I should be able to film going and the experience and the review after the fact. You'll see me in a mask probably at some point. And so I have that. And yeah, same with you. I have my ticket 5 p.m. on Monday the 31st to go see Tenet. So excited to see it. One of the first showings here stateside. I think it is getting released earlier across the sea. I want to say the UK, and if not the UK, other countries. So I'm excited that I'll be able to see it only a couple days really after it gets released elsewhere because it means I have to wait less time and potentially for anything to get spoiled. So I am very excited for it as well. Glad to have movie tickets again. And now I just need to find out a time where I can see Unhinged because I have to. For Tina alone, I have to see Unhinged. She has to know if it's good. Thirsty the Warrior says, "Bless you, Odin. What a mensch." Is that supposed to be offensive? Lord Toad says, "Random." What's random? What's random? Boomrock at 709 tagged and says, "Do you think with Hollywood crashing, foreign movies gain more exposure?" Boomrock, you asked the same thing last stream. I remember the same exact question. So No, I'm not answering it again. I already answered your question. Whether you stayed for the stream to actually listen to me answer it or not, that's up to you. But I already answered that question. I don't like repeating answers. Echo-based network, how is it going? That's kind of the teacher in me, Boomrock, to be honest. You know, I hate repeating myself in class when I don't have to, when I clearly stated something, and I don't like repeating myself here either. So don't do it. Don't do it, please. Thank you. All right. Chat's jumped on me, as it always does. So let's just see. Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum-bum. Hopefully no comments were skipped, but I can't confirm that. It still looks like it's 7:09, so I don't think comments were skipped. But let me jump over and make sure everything's going okay over on the De La Fam. Let's see. Faux Nemo says, at least Cheetah didn't look as terrifying as the cats in Cats. Yeah, this is true. I'm going to be honest, though. The CGI that's used in Cats, I'm not going to say it's objectively better. I will say this much, though. It's a lot more passable. I would say it's a lot more passable. If I had to say which would I rather see more of, it would be, again, this is really bad. Cats, I would rather see more images of the cat CGI than of that we found with Cheetah. That's how bad the Cheetah CGI was. I'm not saying that one is good and one is bad. I'm saying that they're both bad, but if I had to choose the best of the bad, that's probably where I would end up going. Faux Nemo says, at least Cheetah didn't look as terrifying. Okay, I got that one already. Was that a double? I can't tell. All right, let's see. Adam gifted a 1-month sub to Peabody. Boom! Adam in the clan. Thank you very much for gifting a subscription over on DLive to Mr. Peabody, who is now Captain Mr. Peabody. And then he gave me a lemon donation. So thank you very much for that lemon donation, Adam, and thank you for gifting that sub over to Captain Peabody. Alexander says, Italian says, with how Hollywood's creativity, I wouldn't be surprised if 184's villain is named Dronald. Well, we know that much. We at least know his name, so it's definitely not that. And then Adam donated another lemon donation, so thank you very much for another lemon donation, man. Appreciate it. All right, back over to YouTube chat, 7:09 over there. It is currently 7:31 where I am, so yeah, about 20 minutes behind. So if you leave a comment, if you want to hear the answer, you got to stick around for at least 20 minutes or so, and just know that the comment could be skipped. If it's that important, and you have to get it answered, and you don't want it to get skipped, only way to do that is to either be... Actually, no, because even members sometimes can have skipped comments if the chat jumps. So really, the only guaranteed way is to donate via Streamlabs or Super Chat. I would recommend Streamlabs. Andrew Hoyle, thank you very much for being a member of the channel, says, most of the time, Gary just can't find the on switch. This is true. Yeah, last night, he had us muted from the very beginning of the stream, and it was fantastic because we heard him, but no one else could, and it was just great to hear all of that process live. Orange Eye Reviews, the member says, Odin the Snyder, hate is strong with you. I know it's not hate. Yeah, no, it's not. It really isn't hate. I don't hate anyone in this situation. I am just critical because his movies just aren't very good. They're just not. They don't age very well, and I just don't get why people are so obsessed with it. He's style over substance. Every time, style over substance. And I've said this before, I cannot think of a single movie that he's made, and I haven't seen a couple of the films he's done, like I think it was Dawn of the Dead. I haven't seen that, but no movie of his that I can think of that I've seen would I ever desire to go back and watch. I'm just being honest. Rob D tagged me at 7-Eleven, says, hey, Odin, is Alien and Predator going to be part of the preservation project now? Probably not, because I don't think anything has been canceled, and especially with those two, those have received so many different releases over its history that it's not something that's going to really be in danger of disappearing. Like, the preservation project is more for movies that are either already hard to find, like they're already canceled, I guess you could say. Like they have never either gotten an official DVD or Blu-ray release. Like it's only been released on VHS, but there's a way of finding copies of it. Or the DVD copies are so old, the transfers are so old, and they've stopped making them that they're so expensive and there's no way of finding them. And they could potentially, disappear over time. So those are the ones that are being preserved. Alien and Predator have not much to worry about because, as I said, those have already received so many releases. I doubt that you'll find that those will disappear. Laura Toe says, bad beard day. Never a bad beard day. Never. GMonk76 Tanya says, we need Superman to make the world spin backwards and reset 2020. No, G-Monkey, no. Unless it makes sense. If it makes sense, and it's not like that terrible Superman movie from 1978, then maybe. But dear Lord, don't remind me of that. Gosh, because the movie was doing so well for so long. It had a couple of minor issues with the writing, with Lex Luthor just knowing things and never explaining it. Oh, he's smart. No, I'm sorry. No matter how smart you are, you're not going to find out the things that he did with as little information as he did. So that was a big issue, right? I had a problem with that, but I was willing to let that go because everything else was pretty great. The acting especially was fantastic. But as soon as the world got turned around and the time got turned around and then they just said, oh, it's over. Oh, everyone's saved. No. Nope. Problems I have. Tina B. Tanya says, Snyder has said that nothing of Whedon's will be left. He called what Whedon did was, well, I can't repeat what Whedon's version. I can't repeat what he called Whedon's version, so I guess we'll see. Yet again, yeah, we will see. We will see. And I'm not doubting that, but at the same time, too, there was at the very least, according to the cinematographer at the very least, he said, what, between 10 and 20% of the movie that he shot with Zack Snyder was left. So that means that you're going to have things that you've seen before. It's kind of hard to imagine how Hollywood and how any studio could actually greenlight filming every single thing over again, right? So there's going to be things that are going to be repeated. The question is going to be obviously how much. 4 hours, though, that seems to indicate that you're going to have a lot of new footage at the very least. People's Front of Canada Italian says, will drive-ins ever make a comeback? Some of my earliest movie memories were drive-ins. Well, they kind of did over quarantine because they were the only theaters that were allowed to stay open. So I think that in that way they have. And I think that there's people that, went to a drive-in for the first time who probably like the experience so much that they've decided that they're going to either continue to go or they're going to try and make it a point to go more often than they would have originally. So I do think that you're going to see that happen. But as far as a full comeback goes, no. And it's just because of the limitations that drive-ins have. As far as the seating goes, it's your car. As far as the volume goes, right, some of them have been able to come up with some pretty good audio, either by putting it over a FM signal, AM signal. Some you still actually can put the speaker in the car. And so they're able to have ways to make the experience good. But there's still limitations that lots of people probably would not want or would not prefer. Not to mention you have daylight. Daylight's the number one issue there because right now it doesn't get dark here, at least in Tennessee, until like 8:30, 9 p.m. And for a lot of people, even if you're getting a double feature, starting the first one at that time is a little bit hard. So because of those limitations, and that means that it's more controlled, you don't have more options as far as when to see a film like you have in a normal theater. I don't think that they'll ever make a full comeback, but they kind of have already. 70B tagged at 713 and says, how is Lady Freya and Little Thor? The baby Thor is doing very well, still developing, doing flips, doing flips in the womb and everything. So Freya is also doing very well. Thanks for checking in. But yeah, we're about to go into, I think, week 34 officially. And yeah, basically at this point, it's a waiting game. It's a waiting game. So it'll be fun. Tina B, and now Odin Questions head will explode for you talking about Superman going back. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, it's already enough that my head is already like... And then that's when the jokes about me being bald again are going to pop up at that point in the chat. But yes, yeah, that's too much. Jacob Juice, what's going on, good sir? My friend from Holland, Jacob Juice. Love you, dude. Tagging me says, Dear Odin, I'm very glad I'm seeing you again and that you are doing okay. My question for today is, have you already looked for tickets for the film Tenet? Yes, indeed, Jacob Juice. Good question, man. Yes, I have. Again, he's always so polite. He usually only asks like one or two questions, and he's always one of my persons that does the Q&As for the podcast that me and John do. So thank you so much, Jacob, for always being polite and kind. And yes, so I have my ticket for Tenet. So I have it for next Monday. So not this coming Monday, but the following Monday after. So I'm very excited. Bashy Washy is in the chat. How's it going? Drake is 6 is in the chat. Robert Frey is in the chat as well. Let's see. Tommy in the Guinea Pig Collective. That's pretty great. Laura waiting for Nerdrotic tagged at 714 and says, I watched the Snyder Cut trailer and it was good to see Ben Affleck looking healthy, and it does look good. We will see about the story, I guess. Yeah, so talking about the Snyder Cut trailer at the very least, right? Because I already kind of gave you my thoughts about the Wonder Woman 84 trailer. I think there's a lot of problems with it. The Snyder Cut trailer, for the most part, was pretty good. The big questions and problems, issues that I have that I hope they fix are obviously CGI. They didn't show a whole lot of new CGI that I could tell, but obviously the ones that they did show, I hope that they're able to fix and make it look just a little bit better, like especially when you look at things like Darkseid. And then the other problem I had with the trailer was actually not the movie or the clips we saw, but it was the song choice. It wasn't the fact that it was the song Alleluia. It was the version they chose was not a good version at all. Like the guy singing it sounded terrible. So, I mean, I don't care if it's the original version or what. It just did not sound good. And so that was distracting for me because I'm like, no, this song doesn't match what I'm looking at and just doesn't work. So yeah, that's like my two big issues for something that has nothing to do with the movie. And the other one is the CGI, which again is always going to be an issue because Snyder loves using CGI and I think he loves it too much. I think he loves using too much CGI. And especially when you look at these superheroes, I think using more practical effects could make it look so much better. But that's just me. That is just me. And yeah, Ben Affleck, obviously a lot of that footage is going to be from before, or at least before he got, put into rehab, before he went into rehab. So it's already going to make it, it's already going to be clips of him from a while back. That just stuff that we haven't seen yet. So it makes sense that he would look good. Andrew Hoy is a member tagged. Andrew Hoy was a member at 714 says, just watch the latest trailer for Wonder Woman 84. It looks awful, and Cheetah has to be a joke, right? Yeah, again, there's certain things that look fine. I think that, if people are saying, oh, you're such a negative person. No, I'm the critic who's a cynic. I don't know what else you expected from me. I literally tell you at the beginning of every stream and video, I am the critic who is a cynic. Right? I look at things through a cynical lens because, to me, it's more of a realistic one. Right? I try to keep myself away from the rose-tinted glasses, and I try and look at things as they actually are, and I try my best to keep my subjective thoughts out of it. I can't always do that, and I always try and say, hey, by the way, right, Thor Ragnarok, great example. Subjectively, I thoroughly enjoy it. Objectively, there's problems. Boom. Great example. Film I love that I can admit has issues and has problems that are objective in nature. But yeah, I think that when you look to the trailer for Wonder Woman 84, I just cannot see how anyone could, if they were being honest, if they had any knowledge of it too, right? Because some people, there's some people out there that can't tell the difference between a DVD and a Blu-ray, but I'm telling you this right now, there is a clear difference. Like objectively, there is a clear difference. Just because you can't see it or just because you can't notice it doesn't mean that it's not there. It doesn't mean that it's not real. So in the same way, there's good CGI and then there's bad CGI. And so far, Cheetah, terrible CGI. The DVD and Blu-ray one's actually a good example to use because there are some people that really can't tell the difference, but there is a clear difference. Go ahead. There's videos on YouTube everywhere that show you the clear difference. And once you see it, it's hard to unsee. So, yeah. I was waiting for Nerdrotic, as Laura says, are you an angel? Exactly. So bad. Lord Toth, who's a member, says, my life loves Aquaman. Ugh, wonder why. Yep. I wonder why. Tina B says, I've already told Steph that if that woman is in Aquaman 2, my moral standards come first. I will never see it. Yeah. So there you go. If Amber Heard is in Aquaman 2, you have at least two people on my stream, my Valks, who will be like, yeah, you know what? As much as I would love to see Jason Momoa on the big screen again, not worth putting up with that woman. I totally hear it. Lord Toth, who's a member, says, I want a real head playing Mara. I want a real redhead playing Mira in Aquaman 2. As a ginger, I hate fake ones. Yeah, seriously, isn't it interesting how when some people play something that they're not, that some people find that offensive, but then when it comes to something like that, oh no, it's fine. You can change your hair, your eye color, etc. It's like, in all honesty, what is the primary difference there? I'm just being honest. Anyway, Super Anime Gamer at 717 says, hey, what is up, my dude? How is it going? How's it going? Sizer Neon's tagged to 718 and says, that Gotham Knights game interests me more than the DC movies. Was looking forward to Wonder Woman 84. I did not want to hear this political nonsense. Nope, no one does. Or at least I would say most people don't. And so if that's something that gets a lot of traction, though, like if a lot of people start talking about that, and when those early reviews come out, if that's something that is made even more clear in the movie, like a direct correlation there, I think that you could see the film get hurt financially. It's already going to be hard for it to make money because it's coming out in the wake of Corona. And you're going to have theaters that are still going to be limited in capacity. You're still going to have people that don't want to go to a theater. So it's already going to be in that position. You don't want to put anything else in the way of anyone spending their hard-earned money on your movie. And that is an easy way to do it, is by trying to politicize, even if it's one character. If you're politicizing one thing using modern day American politics, especially during an election year, I'm sorry, but I think that anyone that says they don't want to see it has every right to. Let's see. Hold'em. Hold'em. Agroin. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. Is in the chat. Let's see. Keaton Smith is in the chat. Says the first time catching my stream. Keaton, welcome. Welcome. Glad that you are here. Waiting for Nerdrotic Laura. Thank you very much for the very generous $20 donation via Streamlabs. Damn, Laura. Thank you. Thank you. She's already one of my chosen of Valhalla. So thank you so much for that extra bit of cheddar. And she says, American Idol was a fun show, but it completely destroyed the Alleluia song for me. I didn't understand the song choice either. Snyder trying to push that whole Superman is a god thing again. I guess so. And there's some people that are still defending it. Right? There's some people that are still defending it. I think that it's quite boring. I think that having a character that is the living embodiment of a Deus Ex Machina is just not that interesting at all. The same reason why I'm very critical of Captain Marvel, because guess what? Captain Marvel is essentially the same thing. Very little personality and character development, but a lot of Deus Ex Machina. It's just as much of an issue in the MCU as it is in the DCEU. So I think that's a good shout and a good point. It's interesting, though, how you... yeah, American Idol, right? Fun show. Subjectively, you can enjoy some of it, but there's some things that happen with that show that have, as you said, destroyed songs. And yeah, Alleluia. Man, oh man. Some of the songs that were just overdone in auditions. Too much. So Laura, thank you very much for your donation. I really do appreciate it. All right, back into the YouTube chats. Let's see. 13th Warrior tagged me and says, what Ezra Miller did was not violence. It was in Scandinavia where they have government-provided health insurance. At least that's the Antifa BLM rationale. Exactly, right? They're like, oh, well, he didn't really like punch her or anything right like that, but he put hands on her. And so they use that as an excuse, right? They say, well, he wasn't really violent. He kind of guided her to the ground. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm looking at them and saying, okay, so you're telling me that if you saw, I'm just going to say it, if you saw Donald Trump do the same thing, that you would just say, no, he's innocent. Be honest. Be completely honest with yourself, because I guarantee you would be like, oh my gosh, he's terrible. Take him out. Come on. You have to have the same standard for everyone. It's very simple. Very, very, very simple. Smoothie out of California, what's going on? He tagged me at 721 and says, has Black Adam been shown off yet? I think some images have been shown, and I know the official poster or the official artwork for just the name Black Adam for the poster has been shown. I don't think we've gotten a trailer or anything for that yet, though I could be wrong on that. And if I am, I'm sorry. But only kind of. Lord Toth, who's a member, says, I feel so bad having a full head of red hair in my late 40s, Odin. Sorry, no problem at all. I mean, this is mostly by choice. I mean, I had a light patch on top. You know, I generically have a light patch on top. But I still have my hair. I still have it. I can still grow it. But I just like this better. It's more comfortable and easier to maintain, especially when everything is happening the way that it is right now. All right, let's see. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member at 723, says, Titanic is a long movie, but I only ever start watching from when the iceberg arrives. I don't blame you, Forever Sci-Fi, because there's definitely movies that are longer that many consider to be classics, but they're not perfect. Rhaegar Targaryen says, I haven't seen the new Wonder Woman 84 trailer. Does Cheetah look better or worse than Cats? Again, for me, it's hard to tell because it's different types of CG, right? Because the mindset for how they developed and designed the characters from Cats is not going to be the same as how they developed and put together the character of Cheetah, right? One's based on a comic, the other's based on a Broadway musical where they had actual costumes to base it off of. So you're already going to find a difference there, but the CG is not good in either. It's not good in either. Orange Eye Reviews, who's a member, says, he is the critic who is a cynic after all. Yep. And if that's not what you want, too bad, because I warned you at the very beginning. It's kind of my tagline. Keaton Smith, what's going on? Tina B tagged me at 724. Might talk about it on the Chosen chat next week, but was reading about DeMille's work on the Ten Commandments and what went into the effects. I am floored by what went into it. Yeah, seriously. And that's the kind of stuff where, because a lot of that is mostly practical, and they use things like, doing, reversal of time and having that be how the waters, of the Red Sea split. it looks better than what you could do in the same way, or at least it works better than what you could see in a more modern adaptation where it's CGI water, right? There's just always something that's going to look better when it's something that's a practical effect than if it's a CG effect. And that's why I think Jurassic Park is a great example, because they knew exactly what to do, because they didn't use all CGI. They could have, but instead they said, no, let's use animatronics and CG mixed together, and the mix worked. The mix worked, and it looked fantastic. The problem with modern day movies, and especially the DC universe, is that they rely so heavily on CGI all the time that when you look at the behind the scenes stuff, literally it's the actors, and even a lot of their clothing oftentimes isn't even real. It's the actors wearing some part of a costume, having dots on their face, having green on their body, and then everything else is green screen with very few exceptions. That's not impressive to me. When you're putting all of that CG in a movie, I'm sorry, but it's gonna look fake. No matter how good the CG looks over time, it's gonna always have that fake look to it. And I think it's even more so than other films. Waiting for Neurotic says, what is schnitzel? Essentially, it's pork that's been covered in, was it panko? And that's been fried. And it's delicious. Orange at Reviews, who's a member, says, Tina has a point there, Odin. They ain't watching for the CGI. This is true. And absolutely, that's why I said subjectively, if you enjoy and you say, boom, I want to see Jason Momoa, hey, that's a valid reason to want to see a movie and to like a movie. But that doesn't mean the CGI is not bad. Again, objective versus subjective. If you need a lesson on that, EFAP does a great job of explaining the difference. Judah Khan, what's going on? Dark Shadow Logan, how is it going? Let's see. Lord Tooth is a member at 727, says Wonder Woman 1984 is going to fail. Well, again, box office wise, I would say most big budget films are going to fail. Like Mulan, I think has a good chance of failing because it costs a lot. They're trying to do the whole Disney Plus thing, $30 to get it on Disney Plus, right? There's a lot of unknown factors with it. So I think that, I think any big budget film coming out this year is going to have problems. It's going to have issues. So it's not exclusively DC. Everyone likes to think that's what I'm saying, but it's not. Some people get so triggered. And it's like, stop being a fanboy for 1 second and just step back. Step back and see that there's truth to what I'm saying. Alice McCarthy, who's a member of the channel, tagged me and says, 300 is awesome. How do you, and how's it going? Can't wait for Snyder Cut. And Kristen Wiig looks like she needs a meow mix. Yeah. Alex McCarthy also thinks R.I.P.D. is a good movie. So you saying 300 looks awesome, and is awesome, doesn't mean a lot to me. Bioman, what's going on? Andrew Hoyle, who's a member, says, I'll be watching Tenet on Wednesday. Boom, Andrew Hoyle. Congratulations. I'm assuming you mean this Wednesday, because I think you are aren't you one of my UK peeps? So it'll be coming out earlier for you. Let's see. The Shiato at 728, what's going on, the Shiato? Says, does the Allfather ever have a bad beard day? When I wake up, yes. When I wake up and it hasn't been washed and it needs to be combed, then yes. Tina B tagged me at 729, says, no, you don't have to see Unhinged on my behalf. I'll call my old job and we'll discuss a real life cases. No, Tina. I'm going to watch it. Just for you. I'm going to watch it. Whether you want me to watch it or not, I'm going to see it. Just because anytime I'm reminded of that darn trailer, I'm like, it's so bad. So bad. All right, so it looks like about a minute's worth of comments may have been skipped because it was 7:29, now it's 7:30, and Lord Toth's comment is what I'm on. But let me jump over to my D Live fam and make sure that I'm caught up with everybody over there. We got 10 people watching over on D Live. Hope you are doing okay. And it looks like y'all are taking care of some trolls over there. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, anytime anyone comes in and they either post the Turkish flag or they start speaking another language, they're a troll. Trust me. We have the experience to know it never comes to be anything that's good. Ever. Ever. Like, I see it and I'm like, might as well just block them because there's no way they're going to last for very long. Adam Frank in the Clan says, Tommy is an awesome dude. Hi, Tommy. Well, hello to Tommy from Adam in the Clan. And then says, we expect Odin to be Odin, nothing more, nothing less. Boom. Stop picking on me. You know I can't see for crap. It's okay, Adam. It's okay. Alexander says, personally, I believe Last Jedi may be objectively bad with how bad it is. Well, again, you saying personally I believe, that's an opinion. All right, you can't say I personally believe objectively. That's pure opinion. That's pure subjective at that point. You can say no. The Last Jedi is XYZ, and that's when you speak more from an objective standpoint. No, The Last Jedi has a lot of issues, and most of it stems from the fact that it's supposed to be the second movie in a trilogy, and it ignores story elements from the first one and then doesn't leave anything for the third film to pick up on. So there's a lot of problems just from the story and how it's put together based on the fact that it is supposed to be the second movie. If it was a standalone movie that did not need to rely on anything else, then those problems would actually, for the most part, diminish, not completely, right? Because then it has 30, 40 years of canon stuff to deal with, too, that it has issues following. And so the big issue with that one is the fact that it doesn't really have those good story elements to it. And I would actually argue that objectively, The Rise of Skywalker is worse than The Last Jedi. I think The Last Jedi destroyed a lot of things, destroyed a lot of canon, and I think it destroyed characters that we love, no question, but that's emotion, right? Oh, they destroyed the character I love, and so that's why I think it's worse. Okay, well, that's where your emotion's coming in. That's where subjectivity is coming in. But I think if you actually just look point by point, frame by frame, the Rise of Skywalker has a lot more issues narratively. I would say the effects in that one too, more so than The Last Jedi. They're both of them are not good. But Phonemo Tanya says some theaters could still be closed when Wonder Woman comes out. Exactly. And also some theaters could have closed by the time Wonder Woman comes out as well. Adam Tadden says, Odin likes looking buff with his bald head. Don't mess with Odin. No. No, I'm not. Come on now. Peabody tagged me. Captain Peabody says, allegedly, I dumped down Unhinged last night. Allegedly, of course. Peabody, allegedly. Allegedly, how was it? All right, let me jump back over to YouTube. So again, thank you for being here. Please smash that like button if you're still watching on YouTube. 72 people still watching, so thank you for being here. Hit that like button, please. 7:30 is where I am in the chat. It's 7:56 where I am. I'm almost 30 minutes behind. Lord almighty. So Lord Toth, who's a member on the channel at 7:30 in the chat, says, I think I'll listen to some Keanu to relax at my DC disappointments. Whatever makes you happy. Smooth Jam California, try to tag me. Don't put a space next time, Smooth Jam. Says, I don't want politics in my movies regardless, but serious question. Why can't the bad guys in Wonder Woman 84 be the Soviets? Why is it always capitalism, orange man bad? It's a good question. Especially during the 80s, the bad guys should be a Soviet, because that would have been more accurate to the history of the time. Someone say, well, that's political, isn't it? No, that's historical. That's what they would have been dealing with at that time. So if you have a bad guy that has a lot of money, chances of being connected to someone, and at that time it would have been the Russians more than anyone else, makes more sense. Let's see. Grandmaster Yoda tagged me at 7:30, says, what is this cheetah talk? All I know it was a movie from the 80s with that name. What? Grandmaster Yoda, dude, pay attention. Pay attention. It's the new Wonder Woman 84 trailer. Cheetah is a character. Orange Reviews is a member, says, like I said on Twitter, Odin, that look of Cheetah is basically Cat's rabies edition. Yes. I didn't see that one, but yes, that's a fair point, to be sure. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member, says, will there be a butthole cut of Wonder Woman 84? Let's hope not. Let's hope and pray not. Lord Toad at 731, who's a member, says, Grub, hate to run AFK to grab some food. Be back later. Don't smite anyone without me. Lord Toad, food is important. It's what sustains us. 13th Warrior at 731 tagged and says, I must confess, 85% of my comments are sarcastic, 15% are not. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to figure out which are which. Well, I can't. It's something that's hard for me to do, because when it's text especially, context can be, thrown down the window. Thrown down the window? Yes, thrown down the window. Thrown out the window. But anyway, so yeah, Wonder Woman 84... has a lot of problems. So once I catch up with YouTube, I will go then into talking a little bit about the Netflix disaster, and then before going into the last comment as well. So let us see. Iron Vet, what's going on? I see you in the chat. Hound 3000, how is it going? Tina B tagged me at 7:34. Alien and Predator are about to be canceled for some stupidity. I think Doomcock was discussing it. Why are they being canceled? I don't know. I can't follow the idiocy of SJWs. Yeah, again, if something like that were to be canceled, the worst they could do would be take it off a streaming service. But as I said, They've done so many different versions, like so many different transfers on DVD, on Blu-ray, on 4K now. There's a plethora of stuff still out there. So that is not, even if it's supposedly in danger of being canceled, it's not, because it's so readily available. It really is. So yeah, that's not one I'm concerned about. Plus, I already own it. So if it ever did come to that point, which I doubt, they would literally have to like track down several copies to burn and destroy, which they're not going to do. At least not today. Maybe in a couple years, but not right now. Waiting for Nerdrotic tag me at 7:35 says, I'm trying to get out of town for vacay next weekend to get some clean air, so I might be doing the stream from another state. Oh, damn, Laura. Yeah, I mean, also praying for y'all because I know the wildfires are nuts right now, and I'm hoping that they're able to get that under control. I really wish they would start to do more to take care of that dry underbrush that it's always the reason why these fires get out of control. It's so infuriating whenever they're like, oh, climate change. It's like, no. We know why these fires are lighting more easily and spreading so quickly, but nothing's being done about it. Probably because of the whole climate change stuff, because you're like, no, we can't go onto these lands because the habitats. It's like, okay, well, either you protect the habitats and leave all of this awesome brush for fires to catch on and spread like quickly and kill the animals anyway, and then also put lives in danger, or you do something about it. Sorry. I know I'm not a Californian, but this kind of stuff just ticks me off. Eric K, as a member, says, back, sorry, I had to go outside, talk to the sheriff. Oh, hope everything is okay, Eric K. Hope you didn't get in trouble. 736 for Sci-Fi, who's a member, says, I want to see it, but still can't stand Lex Zuckerberg. Worse casting than Ezra Miller. Yes, absolutely, right? And they're like, oh, he's not actually Lex, he's Lex Jr. It's like, yeah, but the whole personality he's doing is supposed to be like Lex Luthor, and it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Again, that actor can only do so much in so many different roles, right? In Zombieland is probably one of the best uses of his personality. Lex Luthor, hell no. Yeah, and Ezra Miller's not a great Flash either. Alrighty, let's see. Catching up with the chats. Forever Sci-Fi is a member 738. Are we doing a Baby Thor birthday pool? Probably not. I guess I can't control what y'all do with that, but not on my end, not officially. Bruce is a member at 740. That version was from The Watchmen. Context? That version? I mean, like, is that like the whole butthole? There's a lot of other things being shown in The Watchmen. Orange Chat Reviews. Also, In Disguise is here. Meet. No. Oh, sorry. No cough. Orange Chat Reviews, who's a member, 740. Odin, that is a Snyder thing. He sometimes uses music from previous films to put in his trailers. The Alleluia thing. But as I said, it was not a good version of that song to use. It was not very good. Marcial Bentoncourt Santolongo, welcome to the chat. Marianne is here. What's going on, Marianne? Welcome to the chat. Let us see. Boom. Andrew Hoyle is a member at 741, said, by the sounds of things, I'm in the minority when I say I can't stand Ben Affleck, so I've never wanted to watch him as my favorite comic book character. Yeah, Andrew Hoyle, I think that's a totally valid concern to have, right? There's certain actors that just rub us the wrong way, and so if they're playing someone that we really care about as far as like characters go, it makes a lot of sense why we wouldn't really want to see that. Personally, for me, as someone that is, again, I think because I'm not based in the comics, looking at these as movies, I feel like I'm in a much better position. I'm not saying that it makes me better, but I think that I'm able to look at it without as much emotion attached and just look at the movies as movies instead of movies based on characters that I've loved and grown up with, right? I think that there's going to be a lot more emotion involved and therefore much more subjectivity involved when you have that kind of emotional attachment to things. And so I look at Ben Affleck and I say, was he great as Batman? No, I don't. I don't think he was great as Batman or Bruce Wayne, but do I think he had the potential to be good? Yes. That's why I think if Ben Affleck had his own movie and directed it, I think it could have been good. But because, I go back to it, because Zack Snyder was his director, that's why I think we got the performances that we did. And I just don't think they went well. Eric K says, don't forget the PO. Yeah. So unfortunately it's the weekend, so can't really do much because the hours on Saturday are very limited anyway. So I'll stop by at some point this week. But I will say this much: I was finally able to watch Tora today, And I will say it was a bit on the long side, but I did appreciate very much the last 30 minutes. That was the actual attack on Pearl Harbor, where they used all practical effects, and it just looks so much better than Midway. Midway CGI was such an atrocity. And yeah, Tor did it much better. I will say, though, it was a little bit too on the long side. Great cast, but a little too long. Eric K then says, Amber Turd. That's one way to say it, that's for sure. Rhaegar Targaryen at 742. Mark my words, there will be an article by Access Media who will attack Wonder Woman 84 for not having a trans character in a major role. Oh, yeah. No question. You'll probably find that on the Mary Sue. Jacob Juice, thank you again for tagging, says, Odin, can you please give us a little update about how teaching is going so far? Have you already been doing some teaching again on school? I would love to know how things are going. Well, Jacob Juice, thank you again. Again, my friend from Holland, thank you for asking. Yeah, so far teaching has been better. So we've only had 2 full weeks. We have 2 full weeks and a day of actual school. The first week we had mostly orientation for teachers and for students. We had then a day of school, and then we had a full week, and then we just finished the second full week. It's going well. Our cases are non-existent, which is a great thing. So we have not lost any teachers or students to it. We have some students, obviously, that are still doing school from at home because they're concerned, and for, I think, good reason, especially when you look at how quickly things can spread. But hey, we're all doing the masks. Still students are struggling with keeping it over their nose at all times. But luckily, it's such a minor thing that it's not something that even for the few seconds that it's down, I don't think it's making that much of a difference. And then anytime that we ask them, hey, make sure your mask's on correct, they immediately do it. So, the kids are on board. We know what we're doing for the most part. And so far, it seems to be working because there's other schools in our area that have already had to cancel sports or even go to online because of outbreaks. So we've I think, been doing it as best we can. It's not perfect. Doesn't mean that we're safe from anything. But I think the measures that we're doing and the culture that our school has made it a lot easier for us to be able to keep things under control. So yeah, it's been going great. My kids are great. So that's been fun. Excuse me. That's been fun. Having really great discussions, first semesters, moral theology, and just always having fun discussions about it. And we're starting projects soon, which is fun. Tina B, thank you again for letting them know. If you have a comment or question and you're new to the channel, seems like I'm seeing some new names here, just type Odin question, all one word, Odin question. It'll highlight orange on my screen when I get to your comments, but I am about 20 to 30 minutes behind as I normally am. So you have to wait just a little bit longer. If you don't want to wait and you don't want to risk your chat getting skipped because of YouTube comments not catching up, then obviously donation via Streamlabs is great. Super chat also, if that is your preferred way, is a way to guarantee comments being read. But I don't make you do that. I don't make you donate. I don't make you do that. I read comments as long as I'm tagged, at the very least. Dean Approved, what's going on, 745? Tagged and says, so the fires in Cali will burn off the Rona, automatically reopening theaters all across the state. Hey, a man can dream. Yeah, if only things worked that way. Tina B says, Bruce mentioned it, but I think that Alleluia song was from Watchmen. I didn't like it in Watchmen either. Yeah, if that version was used at that time for that movie, then yeah. As I said, I don't have good memories of Watchmen, so I may have just blocked that version out. And that's why I don't remember it. Laura waiting for Nerdrotic at 747 Tadian says, there are so many people I want to guide to the ground. Oh, if only we could. If only we could. Iron Vet, Tadian at 747, just saw Bumblebee. Not a bad Transformers film. Good CGI and fight scenes. Family storyline was okay. Good. Bumblebee, I think, is a great example of a film where I think the story's not good. I'm just being honest. The woman that wrote that story, Christina Hodson, also did the story and the script for Birds of Prey, and so she doesn't have a good track record. And then the film she did prior to Bumblebee was also not a good or well received movie. So she's not a very talented screenwriter. And so my issue with the film was the writing. Actually, the writing was just not very good. But to your point, Iron Vet, the CGI in that one is very good. That I can say for sure. If you want to see CGI done well, and again, CGI that I think is going to age much better than other films that I've been talking about tonight, Bumblebee is one. Again, that's a movie that I didn't like. It's a movie that I think I gave like a C- to because the story was just not good, but I was still able to say, but you know what? The CGI was good. So there you go. I'm not inconsistent. Let's see. 747, People's Front of Canada. tagged me and said, "Who cut Captain Marvel's hair? They don't even know their own canon. She is the most powerful being in the universe, and no one should be able to cut her hair." Ooh, there you go. There's a lot of more problems, a lot more pressing issues, though, with her character than the haircut, though. Let's be honest, right? Andrew Ho is a member at 748 says, "As a fellow Lex Luthor-headed man, bald is beautiful, my man." Boom! There it is. There it is. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Tina B tagged at 749. "Steven Spielberg considers The Parting of the Red Sea the greatest special effect ever done. I won't argue. His cloud scene as they open the Well of Souls in Raiders was a shout out." Nice. Yes. But again, it shows you that a lot of times those practical effects just age much better. Iron Vet tagged me at 750, says, "The deep fake of De Niro in The Irishman was better than the actual movie's de-aging process." Yeah, that's actually a fair point. Yeah. The Irishman, great example of CGI. They tried to do everything with CGI in that movie, and it didn't work. Some of it just looked really, really bad. Even though you have really, really great actors, a great director, right, a pretty solid script, a little long, but a still mostly solid script, the CG was the undoing of that movie, where it just was, can't get past it. That uncanny valley was just very, very disruptive. And yeah, the deepfake for it was better than what we actually end up getting in the de-aging process. And we know the de-aging can work well. I think a great example of de-aging looking great would be Ant-Man. Like, dear Lord, the de-aging in that movie is great. It's a miraculous thing of what they were able to do in that movie. That's CGI done well. I think it should be limited in its use, but I think that's a great example of them doing it well. All right, the chat has jumped on me, as it always does. So let's see where we left off in the chat. So it looks like no comments were skipped that time. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord indeed. So let me just catch up over there first. Cool. So let me jump over to my D-Live fam. How's it going, D-Live fam? Still got 5 people watching over there. Captain Peabody says, "Haven't watched it yet." You just have it. You haven't watched it. Captain Peabody says, "Context goes out the window. 2-minute noodles go down the window." Yes, 2-minute noodles go down the window. Yes, context goes out the window. Good shout. Daniel Thorne, what's going on? How's it going? Let's see. Anyone? Excuse me. Cam Peabody, there it is. Tag at the very end says, "When do we get a preview of the nursery?" I don't think you will. That's something that Freya will have to be asked, and I don't know if she'll want that to be shown or not. Obviously, trying to protect the little one, right? Trying to protect privacy, that kind of thing. So if we can, or if I can show the nursery in any way, I'll of course let y'all know and share that. At the very least, to Patreon, Subscribestar, peeps, maybe the Discord server. But that's gonna be Freya's call, and I'm gonna respect Freya's call on that one. So you don't cross the mama bear. Let me just put it that way, right? You never cross the mama bear. Eric K, who's a member at 752, so back over on YouTube. So 752, it's 8:11 where I am, so still 20 minutes behind. Says, "If she is an Aquaman 2, I will abort the watch party." Yeah, and someone actually made a good point earlier. I don't think they tagged me, but I saw it mentioned. Isn't she in Justice League? Doesn't the character of Mira make an appearance in Justice League? So I wonder, is that going to be something that some people might, depending on what we know, by the time the film comes out, will that be something that keeps some from watching it? I don't think it's going to impact a lot of people. I think Aquaman 2 would be one that would be affected more because she has a more prominent role in it. And Justice League, as a 4-hour cut, right, as a 4 1-hour episode miniseries, is going to have so much stuff going on that it's going to be very minor, the role and part that she plays, I imagine. But it'll be interesting to see if that would be something that would impact someone's choice to watch it. Greta Zenner, what's going on? Greta says, "Hey, Odin and everyone." Greta, hope you're doing very, very well. Make some more videos. I like throwing people in your direction because your videos are very good. God of Plague, how is it going? It's a new name in the chat. Aiden Vickery, who is a member of the channel, 75, says, "Just saw the following tweet quoting Aquaman 2 director James Wan, saying Aquaman 2 will be more serious and reflective on the current state of the world. Sounds like modern day politics. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Dear Lord, if James Wan decides to start bringing it into like a, global warming and let's talk politics nonsense stuff, yeah, I'll check out of that. Doesn't matter if I'm a fan of a franchise or of a movie. If a director and a creative mind and producer try to make the film into something that it shouldn't be, sorry, I'm not going to see it. Eric K., who's a member at 76, says, Odin's chats are so relaxing compared to Gary's. Yes, indeed. We're a smaller community here in Asgard compared to Gary's, but you know what? Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need a little bit more chill. Eric K. says, I'm here, but not watching. Well, that's mean, Eric K. That's very mean. Sizer Neons tagged me at 76. I cannot call episode 9 worse since I've not seen it. No plans to either unless they have a Lucas cut. There is no Lucas cut. I know a lot of people, right, a lot of friends, people that I would support have said that, have reported on it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it because at that point you would have to say that George Lucas was on set and was directing the movie. And based on everything we know, that never happened. To think that he could be in the editing room and somehow save it when he had no part in the actual production of the movie, I'm sorry, that's nonsense. Just from a logical point of view, that doesn't work. So, not to burst bubbles, but I keep things real. Bruce at 78 says, context, the movie Bad Guys. Hollywood does not want to offend any country. They want their movie going money. The only exception is North Korea. That is true. They don't care much about North Korea. We're making them mad. So why aren't all the bad guys North Koreans then? Make more sense than what they're doing in some of these things. Oh, Lordy. All right, let's see. Eric K., since you remember, I can see that you misspelled Odin's question, but that's okay, because you know what? It's fine, because you remember. So Eric K. says, the Indians used to light fires to combat large forest fires. If they did small controlled burns, they would not have the huge ones. Boom, exactly right, Eric K., right? So the reason why you have these large fires, as you said, they're not doing the controlled burns. Yeah, and sorry if I didn't have that context earlier, but I was saying about the brush that's just built up over time and is ripe for fires. Normally what you would have is if they were to actually do these controlled burns, you get rid of that underbrush and then you're able to preserve more land, preserve more lives from being impacted, and therefore you also would save more animal life too. But you can't do that now, right? You can't do anything, even if it's controlled, even if it's being done for the greater good of everyone, including the animals, because, but some things would have to die in that controlled fire. Well, yeah. Because if you don't, guess what? The fire is going to happen anyway, and it's going to be worse, and more things are going to die, and people. Did I mention people? Waiting for Nerdrotic Laura at 801. For Snyder Cut, it would have been better to have a score over a song, but having rock songs and trailers is the thing right now. Oh, and the answer for California is tons and tons of goats. Yes, goats. That's clever. That's clever. But the thing is that because of the Green New Deal, you couldn't have that because that would mean they would make much more gas. And all that gas is going to kill us all, as we all know. So it's a good idea, but they would still have a problem with it overall because of that gas. But yeah, going back to what you said about the Snyder Cut, had they actually used the score, that would have been great. That would have been a much better choice. And it probably could have even been more emotional than what it was. But yeah, you are right? Those rock songs and trailers. But I've heard so many better rock songs that have been adapted and sound better. Like pop versions of them that actually sound better than what we got for this one. Not better than the originals, but better than what we got in this trailer. Grandmaster Yoda tagged at 801 says, now I looked up the new trailer and dear Lord, how bad CGI. That don't look like Cheetah, but something from a horror movie. Yep. Yes, indeed. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member at 802, California leadership is not that bright. Heat waves usually come with high pressure and low wind, so your wind farms become useless when you really need them. Yep. And that's why wind is not a viable source of energy. I'm sorry, but wind is not a viable source of energy. Even things like solar is not really viable yet. Could it be one day? Sure. But at this point, especially when you look at, if you add these panels to your house, it'll save you, X amount of money. And you look at it, you'll say, wait, it really doesn't do as much as you're trying to say that it does. So as I've said from a long time, if you want to solve the energy problem and you want it to be cheap and you want to be able to get rid of all that crap going on, hey, nuclear. Because if you actually allow them to update the factories that are there and build new ones, guess what? You could have us off of coal and natural gas and fuel in general. You could have us off all that stuff for electricity alone, right? For the nation, 10, 15 years. Now, I'm not an expert, so maybe it would take longer. But to me, 10 to 15 years seems to make sense as to be enough time to get those factories set up and everything like that. But they're not going to do it, even though we already have the Yucca Mountain, which is already a place not near any water at all, safe place to put your waste. But we're not going to do that. Okay. Then admit that the ideas that you have to replace nuclear energy are stupid. Orange Eye Review says the Alleluia song was from Watchmen Ode in context. Thank you for the context. Yes, a lot of people have been saying that already. Yep, that makes more sense as to why it's terrible. Tina B at 802 tagging says, Odin is planning on saying Unhinged 2. Glad you felt safe. Boom, glad. Yeah, I didn't see you tag me, William M. But yeah, I'm glad that you felt safe when you saw it. Yeah, based on everything I'm reading from every time I open up the AMC app to go and look at tickets and seats, it tells me, boom, here are the measures. Here are the measures. So they're very clear about what's expected of you and what they're doing. So for me, my local AMCs are at 40% capacity. As soon as you get your ticket, it's going to block out the seats next to you. I think it actually does it like in front of you, behind you, and to the side of you. So it's kind of like you get your own little private space there. And also how they're cleaning it in between screens too. So I think I'm going to feel fine. Obviously, people can say, yeah, but what if they don't clean it, right? It's a bunch of high schoolers. Can you really trust them? Well, here's the thing. If they were to not do their job and someone were to catch it, not only would you have the company get sued, but I imagine that employee could probably also get sued and brought to court because they didn't do the job that they promised or said that they did and they were supposed to do, right? So that's why for me, I think because of all that stuff and no one wants to go through that legal crap, I think that the theaters are going to be cleaned as clean as they can be. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect. You're still going to be in an auditorium with circulated air, but I think for the most part, it's going to be pretty much as safe as it can be. All right, let's see. Bruce tagged me at 806. He's also a member. Says, in fact, in the Red Dawn remake, they changed the bad guy from China to North Korea after the fact. They delayed the opening to make the changes to the uniforms and dialogue. That's right. That's right. Yeah, obviously, I think the remake wasn't as good as the original, but the remake wasn't terrible either. It had a good cast that actually made it bearable. Joe Blow is in the chat. Eric K is a member, tagged at 806. Glad you watched Tora Tora Tora. The Japanese was filmed by Japanese filmmakers and American done by American. Yeah, I was kind of confused in the beginning because I saw all the directors, like 3 different directors, and I was like, oh, maybe that's why. So thank you, Eric K, for confirming that. That makes sense. I think that would have helped in the process, though I imagine the editing process would have been a nightmare. Maybe not a nightmare, but very complex because you would have had, assuming that it would work in the way that it normally does, you would have had 2 editors, one Japanese, one English, with the directors there, and they would have to be able to communicate in some way. I'm guessing. Bruce, who's a member, tagged and says, Sucker Punch and The Watchmen were awesome. The same with 300. Bruce. You mentioning Sucker Punch and saying that, yeah, that was awesome. I don't think you watched Sucker Punch, and if you did, I don't know what movie you watched because it was not the movie that I watched, because Sucker Punch is awful. CGI is god-awful. The story is terrible. Bruce, dude, that is disappointing. I don't often say that, but just like with Alex McCarthy, man, that is disappointing. I expect that from Alex McCarthy. I do not expect that from you, man. Andrew Hoyle's a member, says, watching Midway 2019 felt as though I'd been shot in the face with buckshot full of Lego bricks. That's a great way of explaining it. Oh, Andrew Hoyle. Yes. Absolutely, man. Oh, that's great. That's great. All right, so chat has jumped on me like it always does. Let me just make sure that I'm caught up with the comments before I jump over to DLive. All right, so 8:11 is where I am in the YouTube chat. It's 8:22, so I'm about 11 minutes behind now. So if y'all want to start slowing down a little bit, we're getting close to time. That would be great. Phonemo over on DLive says, Odin still can't believe the Cuties thing. Yes, thank you for mentioning it, Phonemo. So I'll talk about that briefly because I think it's been talked about a lot by a lot of channels. I was obviously on Nerdrotic last night. We talked about it. So for those that are not aware, Cuties is a movie on Netflix that's supposed to come out early September that features 11-year-old girls in very, very creepy situations, dancing in a way that is far beyond their age, dressing in very scantily clad clothing. It's very disturbing. And it's a movie that has, since the criticism started, been defended by Netflix. They decided, oh, well, we changed the description, the poster. We're sorry, it was inappropriate, but it doesn't exemplify the movie, even though the images they used for the poster are images from the movie. So that does not work. That argument does not work. It does not hold water. So it still has those very, very disturbing images. Then you have people like freaking Tessa Thompson coming out, who is defending the film, saying, like, oh, but it's such an important voice, and that's all she cares about, is the fact that the director is a woman of color. I think she's also someone that comes from like a Muslim background as well. And so for her, that is what matters. And it doesn't matter that it features 11-year-old girls dressing in clothing that's far too inappropriate for them in a movie that's rated TVMA, by the way. And it's supposed to be a supposed coming-of-age story. And then the other one I've heard is like, oh, well, there's all these other stories that are coming of age for boys and no one ever complains about them. Yeah, also, I don't remember ever in those movies them being put in situations where they were scantily clad and sexualized. Just being honest with you there. And also, too, in some of those movies, they featured actors who, guess what, at some point in their life during that time in history were being abused by people in Hollywood. So yeah, go ahead and bring those things up, please, because this is something that needs to be talked about. It's an issue in Hollywood. It's an issue in politics. It's an issue across the world that is not getting enough attention. That's why Gina Carano has been so awesome recently, because she has been exposing this crap, has been speaking about it. And guess what? This is something that everyone, from the top down, from the biggest names in Hollywood to the biggest names in government, need to be talking about daily. Because as long as any child is being abused in that way, even if it's just one, it's one too many, and we're failing as a culture. We're failing as a society. We're failing as the human race. And so for the fact that you have people defending this trash that, again, is coming out on Netflix, TVMA rated, featuring these little girls in these very suggestive things, is disgusting. And the people defending it are also disgusting too. Scotty Boy Mendelson, you hear me talk about him all the time. You know, the guy that does box office reports for Forbes normally? Yeah, he defended it too. Have you seen him? He's a pretty creepy looking dude. And I know that's like, oh, you're judging his looks and everything. I'm sorry, but something might need to be looked into there. Because he was very quick to write an article saying, oh, everyone that's being critical of it didn't even take 30 seconds to look up the plot of the movie. Well, I'm sorry. I'm seeing images here that are disturbing and shouldn't exist. That shouldn't be shown at all. That should never have been filmed. Then you find out that 650 children had been auditioned over a 6-month period. And they say, oh, it wasn't until the last day of auditions that we found our crew. Oh, really? Yeah, that doesn't sound suspicious at all. What were these auditions like? Obviously, dancing has to be a part of it. So were you asking these 11-year-olds to come in and start doing these suggestive moves? For 6 months? 650 of them? I'm sorry, if you can't see the issue there, if you can't see why that's a problem, you have a problem. So yeah, Phonema, man, like that it pisses me off. And I'm so glad that people are starting to wake up to it. You look to that trailer on YouTube, it's gotten destroyed. It's like 600,000 plus dislikes to maybe 17 or 20 now, probably a little bit more, 1,000 likes. And again, that's a mixture of people that are, one, disgusting people that want to watch it for disgusting reasons, or two, people like Tessa Thompson, who are just trying to be like, no, but it's important for political reasons, and I don't care if there's a problem, and I don't care if it's gonna lead to any problems, because all I care about is identity politics. So that's the mixture of people you have liking it. Where almost anyone else with a brain who can think independently is going to look at that crap and say, nope, that's disgusting. Don't release it. So I'm hoping and praying that Netflix wakes the hell up. I'm hoping that people are able to wake up and, if they are able to cancel the Netflix subscription, to do so. And that will be enough for Netflix to say, all right, well, it's gone. And anyone that's going to say, yeah, but aren't you against cancel culture? How come you want to talk about this and this? I'm sorry, but when you're dealing with kids in a situation where abuse is a lot more prevalent and you're putting them in a movie, especially where it's going to essentially make them the target of being looked at by people that are disgusting and evil and need psychological help and need to go to jail potentially too. I'm sorry, you have no ground to stand on. None whatsoever. So that's my rant. I was trying to, maybe I could have done a video on it, I was thinking, and I was like, you know what, though? I know that I was going to talk about it yesterday. I knew it was going to come up tonight, too. So that's why I put it into the title, because I knew it was something that I obviously feel very passionate about, and it just disgusts me. It really does. It's so disheartening. And again, someone that, teaches at a high school especially, I'm looking at students that are 13 and older. These girls on screen are 2 years younger than the youngest student at my school. It's disgusting. It's awful. So, yeah, that's my thought on that. I know a lot of people feel the same way. But, yeah, all we can do is just continue to call Netflix out every single day and try and reach out to them and say, hey, you're going to lose my business. This is disgusting. I don't care what the director told you. I don't care what the synopsis is. All I care about is the fact that this is going to be used in a way that is destructive to children. And I think that it should be looked into. FBI, if you want to do some investigation, look into that. Look into that producer. Look into the entire process that was done, because it needs to be looked into. No question. All right. Anyway, next over on DLAC, Captain Peabody says, yep, the environmentalists aren't complaining about backburning in Australia anymore. Yeah, because they shouldn't, because it's being done for a reason. It's being done to save as many lives as possible. By the way, that includes animal lives too. Even though if you can't tell the difference between the value of a human life versus an animal life, also problematic. Bonemo, I'm surprised HBO didn't announce the HBO Max is now on Amazon. Well, HBO Max, it's a channel option on Amazon. So that's something that it's been like that for a long time. Amazon has those channel options available. But I don't think HBO Max is available on Fire. Oh, wait, Phonemo, are you saying that it's available on Amazon Fire devices now? Because if that's the case, that's huge. If that's the case, that's huge. Yeah, thank you all for taking care of that moron. The name alone was a dead giveaway there. Not even going to read it out loud because it is awful. So, all right, cool. Caught up with everybody over on DLive. So let's try and make that final round through YouTube. I'm going to try and do some Spitfire stuff now. So Forever Sci-Fi at 811 says the de-aging CGI in Tron Legacy is terrible at times, though it works for CLU story-wise. Still a great movie. Yeah, I don't like Tron Legacy. And again, I'm not a fan of the original film. I know that there's some people that are, and so that's why they like the sequel. But the biggest issue I have with Tron Legacy is the CGI. Because it looks better than the original one did, but you mentioned it. The de-aging is terrible. Like, it's cringeworthy how bad it is. Tina B tagged me at 813. I don't think her in Justice League will be a major problem. Her in Aquaman 2 would be, and many women on that Umbrella Guy streams have said if she's in A2, they won't see it. Yeah, there you go. And as I said, I think that it's not that surprising that you would see and that you would notice a differentiation there, because Aquaman 2, right, she is a lead, she's getting a big paycheck for that, and obviously that's problematic. But in the case of Justice League, the Snyder Cut, a much longer film, she's a very minor role in it, so to say that everything would be based off of that one minor role would not be. Let's see, Nerdronic, Gary, is that you? $100 donation via Streamlabs, Gary. Thank you, man. He says, how do I make the money go into the computer? What money? What money are you talking about? How can I help you? Let me know. You have my number. Please feel free to text and I will help you. If it's a technical issue you need, I will help you, man. But Gary, thank you so much, man. Oh, Lord. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. I love you, dude. Thank you. If you're not subscribed to Gary, I don't know who you are, because I feel like anyone subscribed to me has to be subscribed to Gary at this point. He's an awesome dude, though. Friday Night Tights is just one of the highlights of my week. I always look forward to doing it, and it's always a fun 3 hours, sometimes 2, if we're an hour late, but usually it's 2 to 3 hours, and it's just so much fun. So Gary, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And if that is a technical issue that you need help with, yeah, you have my number. Text me. I will be glad to help you. Thank you so much, man. All right, back to the chats. Let's see. Becky Browind, welcome to the chat. Glad to see you here. Love the haircut. Thank you. Fabled Narrative, how's it going? Welcome to the chats. It's got some new names popping up towards the end. Waiting for Nerdrock. Laura says, I survived California for 20 years. I'm not going to let goat gas take me out. Good. I would hope for nothing less. Forever Sci-Fi is a member. Wasn't that the original version of Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen? I never liked that version. It's a cure for insomnia. Yes. Yeah, I don't know if that's the original version or not. That's why I said, even if it was the original, I don't think it serviced the trailer at all. Golden Ration 818 Titan says, just do not use power. Easy solution. That is also, if you care that much, don't use it. Eric K, who's a member at 819, my power bills used to be over $500 a month. Now summer, $0 winter, around $4 spent. So far for me, it works out to save a bunch. Wait, my power bills used to be over $500. Now summer, $0 winter, $4 spent. Eric K, so is that you saying don't use power? Well, I have to use power where I am because it's too hot here to not use it. No, Golden Ration said don't use power. Yeah, for me, the highest bill I've had since I've been in Tennessee, and really since I've been a homeowner, has been around $150. And that was 1 month here because our house has two different levels to it because it used to be a 2-floor Airbnb. Like you could use it as 2 apartments if you needed to, but it also works as a 4-bedroom house. And so it's kind of like I get my own man cave place to chill out down here, which is nice. But it uses 2 different air systems. And so I think because we had it on a certain level, it obviously was kicking up a lot more. It got very, very hot in July, and that's when it got up to $150. That was the biggest I had. $500, though, damn. That's a lot. Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father. Welcome to the chat. Harvey Weinstein is in the chat. Father is a member at 820 says, I was going to ask you, Odin, last week why Fatima was in your title, but got that question answered today. Yet another Fatima movie. This is what, the second or third in 5 to 10 years? I didn't even know that there was other Fatima movies, and this one actually looks more legit. Like it actually looks like it was done by people who had some money behind them. So I'm actually excited for it for that reason alone. I think that it could actually be a good way to get the story known to more people. So that has me excited. Tina B at 821 tagged and says, Southwest Airlines announced they'll deep clean overnight, but between the flights, they'll stop wiping down armrests and tray tables. Glad my flight is the first one of the day, but what a crock. That's ridiculous. I am surprised that they would do that because that seems to have lawsuit written all over it. I guess since they're telling you, that might be their way around it, but that's not good. Yeah. So bring your own wipes, everybody. That's ridiculous. Father at 821, who's a member, says, going to be finally watching the Banana Split movie, Tra La Terror. Yeah, didn't you win that in a giveaway, Father? Or is that something else that you got? Bruce says, I missed your thoughts on Tora. Well, I gave them. I gave my thoughts. Beautiful thing is you can go back in time. But I am getting towards the end. Looks like it was Gary. I'm seeing his name pop up. Boom. Gary, dude. Thank you. Again, for that very generous donation, man. Thank you, dude. Now he's hanging out, talking to the people in the chat. Hope you're doing well, man. Doing some work. Getting some stuff done. Glad to see you here. Okay. Lots of comments, so I'm going to try and get through them as quick as I can. Let me see. D-Laugh Fam, Phonemo. I was mistaken. It's not. What's not? Context, Adam, I think it was a joke from Gary. Phonemo, here in Arizona, my electricity bills normally run around $200 in the summer. Ooh, wow, yeah. With the temperatures you've told me about Arizona, man, not surprised. That's awful. All right, Greta Zenner at 822. How are Frey and Baby Thor doing? Both are doing wonderful. Thanks for asking. Father then tags says, does Odin question not like Midway 2019? CGI was not very good. Also, the lead actor was not a good lead actor. He was not the right person for that part. Tina B. So I hope the theaters keep up cleaning processes. More power to them. Southwest disappointed me. At least Delta is staying strong. Yeah, well, here's the thing. The theaters, as long as they say they are doing it, they kind of have to. Because as I said, huge lawsuit potential if they say they're cleaning and they're not. So I guess, as I said, that might be how that terrible airline, Southwest, is getting around it, is by telling people, well, we're not cleaning and we told you. Bring your own wipes. Bring your own sanitation wipes. Ridiculous. Father then says, as did I. Father, Come on. Bruce says, I did watch Sucker Punch, but also I'm having a little fun with you. Damn you, Bruce. Damn you, Bruce. You're terrible. 70B, you nailed it about Scott Mendelsohn. Yep, he is a creep. He is a creep. HyperNext13 tags, hi, brother, how's it going? Sorry I'm a bit late. How was your day? Bro, a bit late? You're right at the end of the stream, man. Bruce, context Cuties. So I see that you're trying to put the name there, but you're a member, so even if you mess up, I still can see it. Says, isn't the director a member of a religion where women are subservient to men? Yes, and so that's why some people are trying to argue that it's a movie about going against a repressive religion. So that's how they're trying to defend it. And they're like, leaving out the fact, yeah, don't forget though, 11-year-olds, inappropriate, can't get around that. Can't forget that fact. Let's see. Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective tagged at 829. They need to put the heat on these film festivals that promote this trash to begin with. Absolutely true, right? When the award it won, Netflix, when they apologize, we're like, hey, don't forget though, it won a Sundance Award. Yeah, the co-founder of Sundance was arrested for inappropriate actions with underage people. But I'm sure there's no connection whatsoever. Hollywood? No, there can never be. Andrew Hull is a member at 829. That's why I canceled my Netflix. No interest in giving money to a company that supports that filth. Yeah, I would, but no, as normal, as is typical, right? My wife, much more of a normie when it comes to this stuff. I told her about it. I said, this is messed up. This is disturbing. But Yep. That's something though where I'm usually someone that says, okay, I'm going to respect your wishes, but on this one I might try and push more because it really does bother me a lot. It's really, really disturbing. Bruce is a member at 8:30. That movie is just yeah, seriously. And also the fact that we have this term called MAP, and it's like, no. Don't try and make it sound better. Don't do it. You're messed up. You need help. You need psychological help, and you need to be marked so that way we know to keep you away from our kids. JJ, what's going on, JJ? Are you the JJ? Not JJ Abrams, but the JJ Mobile Command. How's it going? He says, do you believe the current problems will be the end of big budget movies flooding the market and more focus on cheaper direct to streaming? Yes. I think we'll still have bigger budget movies because obviously those do still bring in numbers, even if it is straight to streaming. But I do think you're going to see a much smaller amount of money spent on either one, production budgets. I think that will go down. And two, marketing budgets. Because if you're putting something on your streaming service, you save a lot of money, potentially, on marketing costs. And also, if you decide to charge a premium for it, which to me would make more sense to say, hey, if you have Netflix and you want to see this brand new movie, $10 premium, you'd get a lot more people spending that than the $30 that Disney Plus is asking for Mulan. Golden Ration Tide 830. It's interesting that Hollywood's SJW is protecting the film but trying to cancel any anime. Yep. Yes, it is. It's like, wait, how can one be right but this one's not? Again, I'm not saying that I'm for the anime stuff either, but if you're going after one and not the other, that's a problem. Dean approved. Tad 830. My initial thoughts on Cuties it's a time to flip table situation. Yeah, for sure. Seriously, it's time to get pissed off because it's ridiculous. Orange Hat Reviews is giving me an update on the disgusting trailer. 22,000 likes to 754,000 dislikes. So again, some hope in humanity, the fact that 754,000 people versus 22,000 have disliked it versus liking it. But still, the fact that there are 22,000 people is very, very, very frustrating and disgusting and disturbing. Forever Sci-Fi says, Boomer sighting. And there's Gary. Much love, Gary. Thank you for always putting up with the nonsense that I bring. I don't know why I always feel like it's fun to say. It's fun to have the conversations like this. But I appreciate it very much, man. Thank you. Gary is the best. I agree. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. The man is indeed here. Eric K., who's a member, says, I have solar. Sorry, my bills dropped to nothing. Oh, really, Eric K.? Okay, so that's what you're talking about. Cool. Well, I guess that makes more sense if you're in an area where it's much more prevalent. But when I looked into it for here, right, and so in Tennessee, where it's not nearly as prominent, I think it's just more expensive on the front end, and then the overall costs don't seem to be impacted as much. But in an area, I guess, like California, where the sun is much more prominent, you have many less days of clouds and etc. That makes sense. Nerdrotic would know. And that's why he says solar worth every penny. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm very much glad to hear that. Yeah, so I was only really speaking to my own experience here in Tennessee, because when I looked into the numbers, it just wasn't much worth it. Forever Sci-Fi, as a member, says, I once had a $250 bill for a studio apartment. Never move into an apartment with one of those electric heating units. Yeah. Not to mention, if you're especially in California, just to have an efficiency apartment is like expensive as hell. It's ridiculous. All right, we are starting to wrap things up a little bit, so I'm going to try to get through these comments as quickly as I possibly can. Let's see, where did we leave off? Let's see. All right, Tina tagged, I always bring my own wipes. There you go. Jake, out of context, that sounds inappropriate, but I know what you meant. For a plane, all right, to wipe down her seat on a plane, okay? JKD Buck 76, I hope week 3 of school was better for you. Thank you very much, JKD Buck. Yes, it's getting better every week. As I thought that it probably would. Nerdrotic at 837, you are welcome. Breaking down boxes, crucifying action figures. Damn right, dude. Gotta get that office ready. Thank you for stopping by, man. Father Christopher Miller, 6 days till Bill and Ted Face Music. That is also true. Yeah, those tickets are not available at my local theater yet. That's probably another film that I'll end up seeing when it does come out. HyperX13 tagged at 838, but Ode Midway CGI isn't as bad as Black Panther's. Here's the thing, though. Midway uses more CGI than Black Panther does. Black Panther's ending CGI may be worse than Midway's CGI, but because there's so much more of it, it's more of a problem, I guess, if that makes sense. Forever Sci-Fi's member, considering that video of the woman drying her panties in the fan above her seat, does wiping down the plane matter or make a difference? I guess to some. Bruce member at 840, Odin, there is also a history of very young marriage in the director's religion. Yep, that is true. 840, Father Christopher Miller, the banana splits I bought yesterday for $1 along the 1970s Midway, Arrival, and Wayne's World. Curse your Walmart discount bin. Nice, Father, nice. Very, very good. Very, very good. Eric K, 22,000 maps scary. Either maps or people that are okay with maps, or people that are going to try and defend it using some type of political argument. Yes. Either way, disturbing. Nerdrotic says, I am a wastoid Gen Xer. Too many drugs. And then he says, yes, solar is good. That again, that makes much more sense. When you have that much sun, but I will say this much, because I think I've read enough at least about the wind, that isn't the wind very ineffective? At least in that part where you can get some energy from it, but overall it's ineffective and it kills so many birds. It's like, so much for being environmentally friendly. I want to say at the very least, the wind energy doesn't make as much sense. All right. Thank you all for slowing down too. 843 Kingslayer, most underrated Star Wars film. Underrated Star Wars film. I guess I'd go Return of the Jedi. And the reason why is because so many people are like, it's the weakest in the trilogy, but it's still a good movie. Like, it's still a good movie, especially when you compare it now to the sequel trilogy. It just looks so much better every single time. Oh, lordy. Bruce, 843 is a member. Nerdrotic and Odin, the dueling of the beards. Yes. Slash of Neons, I picked the wrong week to quit wipes. Yes. Airplane reference. Forever Sci-Fi member. 845, Practical Nerdrotic Office is better than Green Screen Nerdrotic Office. Ooh, I haven't seen the Green Screen Nerdrotic Office yet. Has that been up and running yet? Does it not look as good as the real one? Obviously, it's not going to, because you all know my thoughts on green screen. By the way, Awestruck Child subscribed to the channel and gave a Canadian $10 super chat. So thank you very much for that. I know that was 5 minutes ago, but I'm just seeing that. So he's like, I'm hoping all of us that are righteously outraged over this bull crap can continue to call out the maps of Hollywood. Keep watch over these sicko guys. Thank you for your coverage on this. Well, thank you very much for your donation, Awestruck. Yeah, for sure. We have to call these people out. That's why I'm glad to see, for example, a great channel that's on the rise, like crazy amounts. Josiah Rises, right? He covers the culture. He's been very much covering this bit of news especially. And the fact that you're seeing so many views on his video, I think Tim Pool has covered it as well. And a lot of people on YouTube in our sphere are covering it, getting lots of views. That's good. Lots of attention being brought to it. It needs to be having that attention brought to it so that way it gets taken down and we can stop this crap. But we can't let up. Like, as you said, Awestruck, we can't let up on this, because if we do, it's just going to keep on happening, right? This has been going on for decades and decades and decades, and no one has ever really been in Hollywood. Isn't it interesting that you hear so many people in Hollywood complaining about Trump, complaining about all this crap, but then you also see those same people never even mention the crap that we're seeing with this. That to me speaks volumes. If they're someone that's already going to get political and is already going to, stand on their high horse and everything, if they can't even call this crap out as one of their issues, even if it's just one of many, that to me speaks volumes. So anyway, Awestruck Child, thank you very much for your donation. I appreciate it. Hypernex Routine tagged 846. One day in a stream, I hope I get to see you wear black shades and a hat. You'll definitely get the Heisenberg lick. Yes, that would be very, very Heisenberg. No question about it. All right, let me try and get these last comments. Andrew Hole is member 847. There's a lot of wind farms near me, but I live in the northwest of England, and we're very windy bunch up here. See, that makes a little bit more sense for sure. Let's see. Bruce says... Where's Bruce's comment? Where did his go? Where did it go? Everyone needs to watch Tim Pool. Yeah, again, not everyone's going to like him. Not everyone's going to like his style. He always seems to think the world's ending, or at least that's the way he presents it. But he does cover a lot of important information that doesn't get covered by anyone else. All right, and let's just catch up with my D-Laugh fan, Phonemo. Isn't winning an award at Sundance like winning a participation award? Not really. Sundance is actually more so known for being the starting place for some pretty big movies and some good films too. But yeah, it's not like a Saturn Award. That means literally nothing. It means a little bit more, but kind of. It seems that if this is something where Sundance is now awarding films like Cuties, maybe it has now become a participation award. But not even just that, a disturbing, disgusting participation award. Captain Mr. Peabody, well, movies have shown that flying helicopters through wind farms is hazardous for your health. This is true. And then he says, with the amount of American political stuff on Australian TV, I am waiting for my mail-in ballot. Dude, you joke about that, but because of, people need to keep this in mind. And if you've been watching Tim Pool, you already know because he's covered it. The fact that there's an election in New York, was it New York State? Somewhere in the Northeast. There is one election that has been ordered by a judge to be redone because of mail-in ballot fraud. So anyone out there that's telling you mail-in ballots are not problems and there's no evidence of fraud are lying to you. There's a plethora of evidence. Now, if we're talking about, and this is why it's an important distinction, absentee ballot, where you request your ballot and that stuff, there isn't a problem with. But if you are going to say, let's send a ballot out to everyone, whether they're voting in person or not, whether they request one or not, that means you're going to send some to people that are either dead. You're going to send some to people that maybe shouldn't be able to vote, right? And that is going to create chaos. And regardless of what you think, it's either going to lead to fraud, meaning one person's going to win over the other, and it's not going to be legitimate. And I'll tell you all, if that does happen, it's going to be in one direction, not the other. Or on the flip side of that, one person wins, but because mail-in ballot was allowed at a wide scale, there's so much chaos and votes are still being counted that now you have lawsuits that keep the election results from being finalized to the point that, and again, go ahead and look up Tim Pool's video on this. There is a situation where you could have a President Nancy Pelosi because the election results may not have been officially recognized. Because of mail-in voting, by the way. So, yeah, for anyone out there that's saying, oh, mail-in voting's so great, and oh, Trump is getting rid of mailboxes, there's no proof of that at all. It's all fear-mongering. And again, it's ridiculous. And it's funny because just me saying that is going to be someone saying, oh, obviously you're a Trump supporter. No, didn't vote for him in 2016. Have no desire to vote for him this year either. I love third-party voting. I love it. I love giving people the support that really need the support because we need more than we need more than two parties. Just gonna say it. We need more than two. All right. And the only way that we're gonna do that is by trying to put more votes towards people that are not a part of the machine, that are not a part of this crap system that is so broken. Anyway, that's enough for me. Yes, Patterson, New Jersey. Might as well say New York though. Come on, New Jersey, New York. It's the same. I'm kidding. I know people from New Jersey are like, no, we're different. Are you? Patterson, New Jersey. I knew it was in the New York area, though. So, but anyway, you guys are freaking great. I love you guys so very much. Bruce then said, the fact that the left is behind mail-in ballots tells me they got stuff to put. They plan to stuff the ballots. And again, I'm not saying that that's necessarily proven there, but I do think that if you leave even the chance of anything going wrong, if they lose, they're going to use their own problems as a way to create lawsuits. And that's all they really need. Because all they need is to be able to come up with some crap. But anyway, Mr. Roy, thank you for that diamond donation over on D-Lab. Adam says, thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for your love and support. Captain Mr. Roy, thank you for the 5 ice cream donation at the very end. And guys, wow. That was a fun stream, and I'll end it with this because it was mentioned. I did talk about it earlier. New Mutants. I'm going to see it this Thursday. It might exist. Now, I will confirm this because I still don't believe it. I've said this for a long time. I refuse to believe that movie exists until I see it with my own eyes, and it's not just the trailer. So I will let y'all know when I see it this Thursday, whether it's real or not. And then, of course, also Tenet as well. Got my ticket for that to see not this Monday, but the following Monday. And I will also, of course, let you know my thoughts. But boom, movies are coming out again. Reviews are going to be able to come back to the channel. So I'm very, very excited for that. So thank you all for being here this evening and for your love and for your support. Forever Sci-Fi, vote for more than a letter or you're part of the problem. Boom, Forever Sci-Fi, exactly right. That's why when people say, oh, it's the Democrats, I'm like, no. Let's not do parties, right? Both parties are part of the problem, all right? Both parties are part of the problem. Simple as that, all right? And that's why I always keep it. That's why I'm like, no, I'm independent, all right? I'm Catholic first, and I allow the morals that I hold to, that I try my best to hold to, because I'm not perfect either, to guide the person that I vote for, and normally that leads me to a third party, all right? Because both sides have their issues. Golden Ration, thank you for tagging me. Good night, Odin. Good night, everyone. Good night to you, Golden Ration. Tina B. New Mutants is a trap. Don't go. I'm going, all right? I got to find out. I got to see if it's real. I gotta see. But thank you to my members who are on the channel. It reminds me, I need to shout out my $5 and up backers here on YouTube. Anyone that's a part of the Army of Asgard or a Keeper of the Bifrost, your name gets shouted out during every single live stream at the very end. So a huge shout out to Andrew Hoyle, Sushi Joe, Eric K, Orange Hat Reviews, Bruce, Adam Avery, Latino Slant, The Bosco 2000, Twirly Wolf, Jay Stowe, and Aiden Vickery. Thank you for being my Army of Asgard and the Keeper of the Bifrost here on YouTube. And to shout out before I play the Patreon subscribe star video, Outpost Dyer, still have not been able to add you to the video. It's the end of the month almost anyway, so I might not be able to, but you're still awesome, and I still love you, and I always want you to know that, man. It's not that I don't want to, it's because I haven't made a video in really 2 weeks, roughly. I've just been doing the live streams, so that's something also. I'm going to try and get some videos out to y'all when I can. Next weekend, though, we are having our Chosen of Valhalla live stream. It's going to be a lot of fun, awesome people. Same group, I believe, as last month. That's going to be here this month. Some people weren't able to make it last month, so hopefully they're here. I see Miss Martin Muses in the chat. Miss Martin Muses, make sure you check your Twitter because I want to make sure that hopefully you're able to join us next weekend for the Chosen of Valhalla stream. But anyway, Nerdrotic, you're awesome. Thank you so much for that donation. Awesome. Awestruck Child, waiting for Nerdrotic. Laura, thank you. 13th Warrior as well. Thank you so much. And James, thank you for that first donation of the night. And literally Dan for becoming a subscriber too. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope that you all stay safe. Hope that your movie theaters are opening up near you. If you want to see movies again, that you're able to do so safely. And also, of course, do so with the ability to enjoy the movie and not have a mask on the entire time, especially if you have glasses. By the way, shout out to the K-Man. He sent me a steelbook for Train to Busan after I had just gotten my own copy. So this is going to be in the giveaway pile very, very soon. And I have, again, a stack of giveaway movies. So one of these streams, one of these days, I'm going to do some giveaways. So for anyone that's been collecting your cookies, keep doing so because we're going to do it. Anyway, thank you also to the Valks, Tina B, Stephanie B, Empress of the Universe, my general. Awesome people. Send your love to them in the chat before you go because they are the lifeblood of this channel. They would allow me to stay sane to the best of my ability, and they're awesome. So thank you so very much for being here. I love you guys. Have a wonderful evening. And as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my August Patreon and Subscribe Star members. Starting on Patreon, Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Father Damian Cook, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunka Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Jonathan Carney, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B, my Valkyrie and Empress of the Universe. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. And also, shout out to my Subscribestar peeps, Stand For, John B, Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, Darkstar57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadon G. Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you all so very much for supporting me this month. You guys are freaking awesome. If you want your name shouted out at the end of every single video and live stream, and also if you want to have access to special perks like giveaways and an exclusive podcast that I do with fellow YouTuber John the Flick Pig Flickinger, please check out Patreon, Subscribestar, and YouTube memberships in the links below. You guys are all awesome. I love you to death. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.